Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. It's your girl, Britt Johnson. Make sure you follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. And do not forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel, join my notification gang so you know when I'm doing a video, which right now is pretty consistently. Almost every day during the week, besides Monday. Missed it, I know. So today I'm going to be talking about some crazy story that happened yesterday. So there were a group of football players, coaches, and medical staff members of Colorado State's program that came out and spoke with ESPN, and they basically stated that they were told to allegedly ignore COVID-19 protocols. Yes. I know this actually sounds kind of crazy, but when you put into perspective that it's football, it's actually not that crazy. So back on July 20th, the program had 0 positive tests. Everyone came back negative for COVID. And then on Sunday, there were 11 players that came back and tested positive for COVID, and 5 of the staff members on Colorado State's athletic department or whatever. And then ESPN releases basically an article saying that a handful of them had came to ESPN stating that they were told to lie about even having symptoms of COVID-19 in order to basically continue to play through it. So this isn't crazy to me when it comes to football, because football has a culture and a history of you play through everything, whether you are sick, whether you have a freaking broken finger, a torn ligament, whatever it is, they want you to try to play through stuff, because if you don't, you're considered soft. That's just how football has been. That's how these kids are programmed to think, and young gentlemen are programmed to think from all the way down to Pop Warner days. You just play through it. If you're crying about it, if you're whatever, it don't hurt that bad. They always used to say, if you can still walk on it, it ain't broke. So they would make players play through different injuries and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised to hear that now that COVID is around and running rampant throughout this country, that football culture is still to say, hey, you got a little scratch in your throat, you have a little cough, well, you're gonna have to suppress that and pretend like you ain't coughing and pretend like you feel great, because we need you on this football field. So like I said, some of the coaches, staff, and whatever came out, and they basically said that it was members of the athletic department, like leaders on the athletic department, that had told them that. And they also said that some of these leaders have actually provided false and inaccurate information to local and state officials about the results they are getting. So who knows if that July 20th test that they had actually had no members test positive for COVID. But this is very, very dangerous. It's scary. It's not an isolated incident. I think it's something that's happening across college football and potentially could be happening in the NFL, where they're possibly hiding results in order to, not have to cancel their program, in order to make sure star players continue to play, because some of the players said that it was their position coaches who were coming to them and saying that they need to cover up their symptoms of COVID because, and I quote, we can't afford it. So they needed these guys on the field, and so they're saying that the players don't have issues, or they don't want the players to test positive or test at all for COVID because they don't want to get any positive tests. Another thing they had mentioned was the opting out situation. So apparently players have been threatened that if they were testing positive for COVID, or if they opted out, that it could affect their future on the team as far as playing or their position is concerned, how many minutes that they would get on a field, if they were going to be starting or not. All of this kind of stuff was surrounded by basically putting fear into the players that they would lose their spot if they either opted out or if they decided to test positive, or if they decided to test for COVID and the test came back positive. the president basically of the school came out and said that she was basically livid. She had no idea what was going on, obviously, in the locker room. I didn't expect her to. I don't think most school officials know what happens in a football locker room or any sport for that matter. And so I'm not surprised she had no idea what was going on, and that there were higher up people telling the football players and even some of the coaches this. But I like what she said. She came out basically and said that the players are the only voices she wants to hear moving forward. And she said she's going to ask the players about it. If the players don't feel safe in that situation to play football, then she will cancel the season. And she also stated that she would make sure she protected any players that could potentially be retaliated against for coming out and saying something about it. The head coach came out as well as the athletic director and said that they're on board with this investigation that the Colorado State school is putting on, because it wasn't an NCAA investigation. It's the school. The president decided to do an investigation to see what's going on about these players, basically saying that they have to lie about any COVID-19 stuff and that they are being told to not follow protocol. So they said they're on board. Obviously, the head coach's name was not mentioned by any of the players, and the athletic director's name directly wasn't mentioned, but it said leaders within the athletic department. So I kind of think that he might be one of the people that are telling coaches and players to not say anything about it. One of the players on the Colorado State team actually came out on Twitter and said that this whole thing was just a bold-faced lie. He said, "This is completely inaccurate. The coaches have done a tremendous job at keeping the health of the players and staff a top priority. The plan they have is to keep the players' safety in the center. Very inaccurate." I mean, that's one player, and maybe in his position, he doesn't have a position coach that's doing this. Again, it's not like the whole entire program has been telling all these players to not follow protocol and to not test for COVID, and if they do feel like they're having symptoms, to not say anything about it. It's just select people within this program that have, been saying stuff. So they could have been just telling whatever, if it's wide receivers or running backs or O-linemen, whoever their coach is could just be telling them like, "Hey buddy, no, you don't need to say anything," kind of on a lower level. This isn't something that at the top they've been saying and it's been passed down to everybody. But the athletic department leaders, quote unquote, have supposedly hid results, and I think that that's very scary. I think that that is a very dangerous thing to do, especially considering we've seen teams like Clemson and LSU have over 30 plus players test positive for COVID. And again, we don't know the long-term effects of this. So to kind of have it as like, "Oh, it's okay, it's a little sniffle, you'll be fine," or "It's just a little cough, you'll be fine," and not taking it seriously is huge right now. This could negatively not just affect this team, but the players they go up against, the teams they go up against could be affected. You could have this whole spiraling thing, like kind of like the MLB's been having, where it's like half the teams testing positive for it, and it's because they're not taking stuff seriously. And mind you, the MLB is testing their players and stuff like that, and still they're having situations like this. So if Colorado State is not encouraging players to make sure they're testing for COVID and to make sure if they feel like they have a symptom of COVID that they're speaking out about it. But I'm not surprised. I think this is happening all across the country right now. I would not be surprised if more teams did not come out and say that they have also been told not to say anything. This all kind of started when UCLA players came out and said that they didn't trust their own training staff to make sure that they were safe during this protocol or during this pandemic, and put good protocols in place to make sure that their safety was first. And they wanted outside people to come in and manage that. So players aren't stupid. They know what's going on. They know that it's their health should be most important first and foremost. And they know that it's not to any franchise. It's not to any organization. It's not to any program or any team. It's never been the players first. They have literally been asked to do way worse things for way less. So that's what I have to say about that. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think there are other schools that are doing similar things to what Colorado State is doing? And what do you think should happen to Colorado State officials and coaches and athletic staff members who have been found out to actually have said that to certain players? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video. Click subscribe. Follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. And I'll see you guys soon.